In the grand scheme of things, there aren't many ordinary people who have names remembered by history, unless, that is, something extraordinary happens to them. The extraordinary certainly happened to Phineas Gage on September 13, 1848. Unfortunately for Gage, that extraordinary thing was pretty gruesome. Here's why Phineas Gage is still fascinating, even today. What happened? 25-year-old construction foreman Phineas Gage was helping cut a new railway bed through Cavendish, Vermont, and was using a tamping iron to pack explosives into a hole. And then, this happened. The explosives detonated early and sent the 4-foot, 13-pound tamping iron through his left cheek, into his brain, and out his skull. Making things worse, according to legend, he might not have even lost consciousness. Historical documents say that he was driven into town where he sat on a porch chair and chatted to passers-by as he waited for Dr. John Harlow. After a few days, he developed a brain infection that left him even closer to the Grim Reaper's door. But the Reaper had apparently been impressed enough with what he'd already survived to give him a pass. He recovered, lost use of his left eye, and went home 2 months later. Everyone who knew him before and after the accident agreed he had changed. And when he died in 1860 after suffering a series of seizures, he remained a part of historical and medical infamy. Pioneering neurology. Gage is one of the earliest documented cases of traumatic brain injury, and his accident couldn't have come at a better time for the science of neurology. When Dr. Harlow first documented Gage's story in the Boston Medical and Surgical Journal in 1848, no one believed it. It wasn't until 1850, when Harvard professor Henry J. Bigelow wrote a piece on him being a fully functional human post-accident, that people started to notice this medical miracle. Bigelow's follow-up report in 1868 focused on the mental manifestations of the accident, saying he had become fitful, irreverent, indulging at times in the grossest profanity, and manifesting but little deference for his fellows. In short, the guy who got a giant metal spike through his head allegedly became a jerk. Neurologists at the time insisted that we needed to look inside the brain to unlock the secrets of what made us human, and Gage was the first documented case that provided evidence for this. So we should probably be thanking Gage for his unwitting scientific contributions. Insane in the brain. There's still a ton we don't know about brain function today, and we can't always peek inside to see what's going on, so we have to find other ways to get a look. Gage's accident and his big, open brain was helpful in doing just that. We know what part of his brain sustained the most damage, the prefrontal cortex, and we know what happened to him afterward. His memory was intact, and he was perfectly capable of working, traveling, and doing everything else a responsible human should do. But everyone also agreed that his personality underwent a big change, which was pretty good proof that our personality lives in our prefrontal cortex. While some sources say post-accident Gage was a depraved monster,
I'm still the same man.
You're the same man!
Look at yourself, Phineas!
Give me my job back! You give me my job back!
other documentation shows he managed to maintain a pretty normal life. It is also written that he exhibited himself in freak shows, and that he had no more social inhibitions, was a perpetual drunk, and even that he was described as psychopathic.
He's like an animal now.
An animal's emotions in a man's body.
But there's nothing in Dr. Harlow's writings that suggests anything of the sort, and his mother testified he was eager to keep working after the accident and loved making up stories to tell his nieces and nephews. Psychopath, storyteller, or something in between? No one's entirely sure. New insight. Technology has come a long way since Gage's accident, and it's a lucky thing that we still have his skull. The official cause of Gage's 1860 death was complications from epileptic convulsions. No autopsy was performed after he died, but Gage's body was exhumed 7 years after his burial, and his brother-in-law took both the skull and tamping iron to Dr. Harlow. Today, both artifacts are housed in Harvard's Warren Anatomical Museum. We don't have any direct information about Gage's brain, but we do have two of the most important tools needed to recreate what happened to him. His skull was mapped and diagrammed as early as the 1940s, according to NPR. And as technology has improved, we've gotten increasingly better looks. In 2012, researchers from the Laboratory of Neuroimaging used a combination of techniques to map exactly what connections were severed when the tamping iron sliced through his skull. And they found something pretty interesting. The white matter in Gage's brain likely sustained damage less severe than you might expect, similar to the damage done by a typical brain lesion. Pretty lucky for such a seemingly unlucky guy. We can overcome. There's a lot of gory stuff that's involved in talking about Phineas Gage. He's still the poster child doctors point to when they want to show patients and their families what the human body and brain can overcome, even without the miracle of modern medicine. If there's one good thing to come out of Gage's insane, life-changing accident, we think he'd be happy to be an inspiration to people going through similar, life-altering traumas, which is pretty fascinating. Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.